What's up, guys? Michael Edward here, head trader at True Trading Group. March 5th. Some trader education today, both technical and mental lessons that we are going to discuss. Nice big day for me today, trading the TVIX. We had another wild 1,000-point move in the Dow. The crazy thing that we're starting to see is that these 1,000-point moves are becoming normal. We were down 1,000 points today, and there was zero panic whatsoever in markets. We were just trading lower, bouncing around, trading lower, bouncing around, trading lower, and nobody really seemed to care. Today didn't have that panic. Like it just seems like people are getting used to seeing the markets up or down 1,000 points, and that just is a testament to how insane the volatility is. I've been saying it for 2 weeks now. You guys are probably tired of hearing the word volatility come out of my mouth in my videos, but today we've got a really good video, some really good lessons. I'm going to talk to you about. I made 2 trades in TVIX. One was basically a non-event. Made some on some of the position, lost some on the other position. On the rest of the position, that basically canceled out. I was basically break even on the day. And then I caught a really big trade in the afternoon in the TVIX. But prior to that trade that I caught, there was a mental battle that I really had to go through with myself. There was a point throughout the day I was extremely frustrated, and I'm going to talk to you about that. That's going to be the mental lesson. And then I also have a really good chart pattern lesson about ascending wedges that we're going to discuss as well. That's not really related to my trade in particular, but I feel like it's a really good lesson because it's a really good example of some technical lessons on an ascending wedge pattern that we saw today. So let's get to it, guys. I've got, like I said, some technical and some mental lessons for this video. We're going to break down some trader education. Before I do so, make sure to hit that like button for me, guys. If you have not done so already, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on any more of these videos. Let's get to it. Guys, SPY, first and foremost, key support level that we had here around 303.50 to 304. Okay, key little support level. You can see that was the low of the day today. That was support there yesterday. So you see you had support yesterday in this area. You had support this morning in this area. And then we sold off midday, found a brief moment of support in the late morning. So you can see this level was key for the SPY. And then as soon as he broke down below it, on this bounce back right here is where I went ahead and I got long the TVIX. I'll take you guys to my trade announcements on the day. Remember, this is my second TVIX trade of the day. There was a first one. I'm going to talk to you about that. That was the break-even trade. This was the big win. So I'm going to talk to you about this one first. Okay. As I pull up my trade announcements, here you guys can see at 1:04 p.m., I'm long the TVIX at 134.97. Stop loss if the SPY gets above 304. So if the SPY got above 304 and did that, I'd be exiting this position. Okay. So there's the entry point. I thought this entire day today that if the SPY got below yesterday's low, that we would get to 299 to 300. Why 299 to 300? Because that was this gap fill. So yesterday we had that big gap up, right? And I thought if we got below yesterday's low that we were going to fill yesterday's gap. There's the gap fill. Well, golly gee, look at what we have here, a complete gap fill of that area. And that was exactly where I took my final profit off the table. The SPY held very true to levels today. Very, very true to levels. You can see the support from yesterday, support in the morning. And then here we are. Once we broke below that level, I got in the TVIX, and then the SPY started to roll down to new lows. I took my first piece of profit off the table as we made new lows. Back to my announcements. You can see I took some off at 137.12, still holding the bulk of my position. We came back up here and started to test that level. Okay, so the level that was previously support, we bounce back up and start testing. You can see denied, 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 denied. And that's when I said, okay, now I've got a real nice trade on my hands. And as we came back down towards the lows of the day, I took another piece of profit, which was the bulk of my position, off the table at 141. So I'm long at 134.97. The bulk of the position comes off at 141. I had a few thousand shares. It was a really nice trade. And I'm holding on to 25% of the position. And then bang, there is your final gap fill. And right there was my final take profit on the TVIX. Back to my announcement. You can see here, guys, my final take profit at 145.11 for a 10 move on the TVIX on my final take profit. And this is a really nice trade. Okay. I've been pushing during this volatility, guys. I've increased my position size. I'm really trying to take advantage of this volatility, and really it's been paying off. I'm not focusing on individual stocks really. As long as the Dow is moving 1,000 points in a single day, my attention is on TVIX and SPY, TVIX and SPY, TVIX and SPY. It's really the only thing that I focused on today. There's a few other handful of stocks that were making some noise today, but guys, in action like this, every trader's dream is to have a vehicle that has the type of volatility and the type of liquidity that we are seeing right now in the TVIX, also in SPY options. There is so much volatility in the real high liquidity names that it doesn't even make sense to waste your time trading real low volume small caps, because you're getting the same kind, you're getting small cap volatility in a large cap liquidity market. So it doesn't even really make sense for me to go and try to trade small caps right now, as long as the Dow is moving 1,000 points in a single day. And I've just been tearing this TVIX apart for the last 2 weeks. I've been trading the TVIX. I've been trading SPY options. I got beat up a little bit on Tuesday in the TVIX, but then come back today with a big trade, 10 points on my final take profit, and we nailed it. Okay, and like I said, I've been increasing my position size, so it turns out to be a really solid day. So this is lesson number 1, guys. Really just kind of a lesson on levels and prior support, identifying prior support, breaking below it, looking for that prior support to then become an area of resistance, and then getting the follow through to fill a gap. And like I said, the SPY holding very true to levels today. Okay, now let's get to my first trade in the TVIX. Like I said, we have multiple lessons in this video. Now we're going to get to the first trade on my TVIX position. Then I'm going to talk to you about the mental lesson. Then we're going to talk about the ascending wedge. Okay, so if you haven't done so already, what are you waiting for? Bang! Smash that like button for me, guys. So here we go, back to the SPY in the morning. In the SPY in the morning, we had the big gap down. Coming into the day today, I'm saying to myself that I think we are going to get down and fill that gap. That was my game plan today. All right. I'm glad I was able to catch the move in the afternoon and catch the gap fill in the afternoon. But in the morning, I went after the trade in the morning and it didn't work out. But I was able to take some profit off, but then we ended up bouncing back, and we bounced back exactly right off of that first level. So here's the big gap down. We pushed off the bell, and right here, okay, in front of the 23.6 Fibonacci level is where I got my long position on the TVIX. I probably was a little early with this. Okay, I was probably a little early on this entry. I probably could have waited a little bit longer, but I think I jumped the gun a little bit here. But here's my first entry, long TVIX at 125.47. I'm going to stop if we get over that 306 area. You can see here we came up to 306, 23.6 fib level, denied. We got back under VWAP, and as soon as we got under VWAP, this is where I thought I had the grand slam trade. I added to a maxed out full tier 3 position size TVIX position. Right here, you can see I added tier 3 at 126.22. Stop loss again if we get through that 23.6 Fibonacci level, which was that 306 area. Okay. Right away, we pulled in. We get right down to a new low of the day, and we get right to that area of support. This is the area of support that we talked about yesterday. See yesterday's area of support. So when we got down to that region, I said that's my first take profit. My first take profit came off the table at $128 a share. All right. And I was looking for us to roll. I was looking for us right here at this moment to roll. And we didn't roll. Okay. We had the trade line coming into play. You had VWAP sitting here. I was looking for a trade line VWAP crossover to then push us to new lows. And that would have triggered a move down to fill that gap towards 300, down towards 299, and fill that gap. That's what I was looking for to happen in the morning. That was my morning game plan. But you can see we ended up popping back above that prior low, back above VWAP, and I got flat my TVIX position at 125.31. That's why this is basically a non-event trade, very small P&L trade. In at 125.47, added at 126.22, took some off at 128, got flat at 125.31. So not really much to write home about there. And I'm glad I did because we ended up trading much higher. Okay. We bounced right off that level that we were talking about. Okay. The level that I just showed you, which was the whole premise behind the second trade in the TVIX that I made that ended up being the big win. We bounced off that level. Then what you start to see have happen here is an ascending wedge pattern forms. Okay, here is your ascending wedge pattern that starts to form, and we overshot the ascending wedge. Okay, we overshot the ascending wedge and then immediately pulled back into it. What I mean by overshot is, guys, this is how you trade an ascending wedge pattern. You want to see the stock break above that resistance line and then immediately fall back within the wedge. This is exactly the type of action that you want to see out of an ascending wedge pattern. Looks like we're going to break above it and then immediately come crashing back inside of that wedge pattern. That's exactly what you want to see. After you get that move back into the wedge, you look for this bottom support line to then break. That's your trigger on the trade. This is where I should have entered the TVIX again, and I didn't. This is where the mental lesson comes into play. That was a quick little lesson there, guys, about an ascending wedge pattern. There's two ways you can play that ascending wedge. One's more aggressive, one's more conservative. The more aggressive way to play this is as soon as you recognize the failed break above and move back inside the wedge, you can get long back inside the wedge, but your stop loss has to be that high of the day. So you have a little bit more risk there. Okay. The more conservative way to play this would be to wait for the stock to break below the support line, get long after the break above below that support line, and then you stop out if the stock gets back into the wedge. Once an ascending wedge breaks below that support line, it should not get back inside the wedge. If it does, it's probably not an ascending wedge breakdown pattern. Okay, it should not get back inside that wedge. So you can get long anywhere in this consolidation and stop out if the stock does that and gets back up inside of the wedge pattern. All right. At this point, if you get long in here, you no longer need to have your stop loss. Remember, I said the aggressive style would have been to enter here, stop loss at high of the day. But if you're entering down here, you do not need to risk all the way to the high of the day, because if this is a breakdown, it should not get back inside the wedge. So you can move your stop loss all the way down to here and not have the stock get back inside of that wedge pattern. Okay. So coming off of that ascending wedge breakdown, the market rolled over. And while the market was rolling over, okay, you can see this big sell-off move. The TVIX was just ripping. Okay, the TVIX was just ripping. Okay, from 120 up to 132, straight up. At this point, I'm pissed. I had a big position in the TVIX in the morning. I was in a maxed full tier 3 size, and I didn't get the move that I was looking for. And I couldn't help but feel like this trade was getting away from me. I couldn't help but feel like the TVIX is making its move. The SPY is pulling in. I don't have a position. My timing was a little off in the morning, and I was extremely frustrated because this could have been a huge trade for me. If I caught that move that down move back down towards the lows of the day, but I didn't. I was extremely frustrated. This is where the mental lesson comes into play. Always remember that if a stock is truly strong, you will get another crack to enter it. You will get more than one opportunity to enter that trade. In this case, if the market is truly weak, or if a stock is truly weak and you're trying to get short, you will get more than one opportunity to short it. Just because you miss the perfect ideal entry does not mean the trade is over. It does not mean there's not another opportunity for you to get yourself back into that trade and still catch a really, really good move. So as frustrated as I was, I had to keep my composure. If any of you have seen the movie Old School, I was on the mic at around 12 o'clock, 12:30, and I'm on the mic and I'm telling all of our members, like, guys, I'm so frustrated, but I've got to keep my composure. I can't freak out. I got to keep my composure. I can't get upset. And I couldn't help but think I reminded myself of Will Ferrell in that locker room scene in the movie Old School. If you do not know what I'm talking about, when you're done watching this video, go to YouTube. Well, you're in YouTube already. Just search in the title, Old School, keep your composure. or Will Ferrell, keep your composure. You guys will see what I'm talking about, but that's what I felt like. I'm like, guys, we got to keep our composure, but I was so frustrated at this moment. And that is where the mental lesson comes into play here, guys, because staying focused at this point in time, knowing to myself, if this trade is triggering right now, I have a lot more room to the downside. If we're going to fill that gap, we're going to get to 299, we're going to get to 300, we're only at 305. I've got 5 more points of downside, maybe 6 points of downside on the SPY. That equates to a huge move in the TVIX. Stay focused, look for another entry opportunity. We came right back down to that same support level, the morning low, which is yesterday's lows. Okay, we had a little bounce and then bang, that's when we broke down. And that's when I said, there it is. There's my new entry point. I'm going to get long here. If we get back, we should not get back above this level now. This was a key level of support. Now that we're below it, we should not get back above it. Now we should go down and close that gap. And that is exactly what we did. There is your complete gap fill. And then we got to bounce off that area, which is no surprise. All right. That's today's trading action, guys. There's a lot of lessons in this video. There's the lesson about support becoming resistance. There's a lesson about the ascending wedge pattern. There's the lesson about, how to enter the ascending wedge pattern, both aggressive style and conservative style, setting your stop loss on the aggressive style and the conservative style, and then a mental lesson on keeping your composure and always remembering that, 2 things really. Don't give up on good trade ideas because sometimes your timing is just off. The SPY filling that gap today was a really good trade idea. My timing was just a little bit off. I thought it was going to do it in the morning. It did it in the afternoon. But by keeping my composure, staying focused, and reminding myself, if this market's truly weak, I will get more than one opportunity to enter the TVIX and catch the gap fill in the SPY. Always remember that when you guys are getting upset because you missed what you think would be the perfect or ideal entry point. The markets are a tricky thing. Okay, so they don't make it easy sometimes. Sometimes you don't get the picture perfect ideal entry, but that doesn't mean you give up on the trade. Do not give up on good trade ideas because sometimes your timing is just off. I'll see you guys tomorrow in chat, and we'll look to finish this week off strong and see what other crazy chaos the market has in store for us tomorrow. Take care, guys.